30s, we have to have some advice to give. Let's get into all the juicy and dirty gossip. And the rest, well, we'll just figure it out along the way.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Structured Chaos. I'm Kyra, and today we're getting into all of the thoughts that I've been carrying around all week. Welcome back. I hope that everyone had a wonderful week. I hope everyone had an even more wonderful weekend. A lot has gone on. On Friday night, I hosted my annual Valentine's Day party, which, the one thing we know about me is I love to throw an event. I love all the little details. I love just like creating everything, and it was a great time. The girls got together, we laughed, we ate, we drank, and it's like, who doesn't love to just like be a girl with their girls? It's just like a night of fun, trash talking men, like all of the things. It's so fun. And my friend Sania, who you guys have met via an episode on here before, she has a charcuterie business, and she made such a cute like charcuterie board, for all of us to enjoy. But then she also made personalized take home charcuteries for everyone, and it was just so cute. Loved it. Like, such a great touch. So if you guys are not following her, she's Grazed by Maya on Instagram, and she should be the person that you guys use for all of your upcoming events because she makes like the cutest things. So that was really, really, really sweet of her. And then my friend Kiyomi got engaged this weekend, and her ring is just so gorgeous, like so gorgeous. He did such a great job. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there because, as a reminder, my dad is still here, and that was the day he got back from having his procedure done. And so he was, in a little bit of discomfort. So I unfortunately couldn't be there, but I cannot wait to celebrate my girl, and congratulations. And then, the big thing on everyone's lips this weekend is the Super Bowl. And so, in my personal opinion, it wasn't great. It wasn't really competitive. I don't think anyone scored a touchdown until either the third or the fourth quarter. It was very, very, very lackluster. And I mean, it did go in my favor because, as I have mentioned before, you're never going to see me rooting for the Patriots. And they lost. So it worked out really well for me. Sorry to my friends back home who have a, poor choice in picking teams, but it just is what it is. We can't all be perfect. So congrats to the Seahawks. They won, second Super Bowl. And my critiques would definitely be like, what's up with the commercials? Like, we watch reels and TikToks all day long. We see how funny people are. We see how creative people are. Like, can we start tapping into like regular people? Because whoever's working for these companies and creating their commercials, like, you're not doing great. It's not working for me. It's like, with all of the talent that exists in the world, like, how are we here like not liking commercial after commercial? It was just so odd. The commercials that I did like, though, coincidentally, were all of the food delivery ones. The Instacart, Uber Eats, DoorDash, like, I thought those were good commercials. I don't really know what they had to do with the companies per se, but I did laugh. And I did like the Budweiser with the eagle commercial. I feel like it's just like nostalgic, and like that was really good. The halftime performance, I think Bad Bunny is great. It was so funny. My dad had asked me, like, do you understand what he's saying? And I said, no, not at all. But it's his energy and just like the way he is. And I do like listening to his music. And, it's always interesting watching it. And then, 20 minutes later, the breakdown of everything comes. So, of course, there were a lot of things that I didn't really understand, like the reference to. And then when you see it online and you see, you know, what everything was, like, then I like loved it even more. He had this woman from a private members club that has like really, really, really donated a lot and done a lot for him to Puerto Rico. Like he had her in the bodega. And then there was a couple that really got married. And then he paid homage to when you grow up in the Spanish culture, how you just have to kind of fall asleep anywhere. So there was kids sleeping on a chair at the wedding, and he had celebrities in there. And you know what, actually I will say my biggest takeaway from the halftime performance is how hot Ricky Martin is. Like that man is so good looking, really. Oh my gosh, like ages impeccably. He is really, really, really good looking. I don't really know why Lady Gaga was part of the performance. Of all people to choose, that seemed like a little odd choice, but whatever, a choice nonetheless. I thought he did great. I thought that he represented Puerto Rico and everyone in America. I loved his message that, love is the most powerful thing and we are all Americans. And I really, really loved that. So shout out to Bad Bunny. You did your thing, and who cares what the haters have to say, because they're going to find anything to hate about. And that's kind of really all that really happened this week. We didn't really have any like major news drama or anything. And so I think we get right into today's episode, which, as a reminder, is going to be with Sally King. So, guys, let's welcome back Sally King. If you guys have been OG listeners, then you remember her from last year's episode where she kind of got into some relationship advice, and now we're going to do it again. So, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
How was your weekend?
It was perfect. I had a friend visit, and she was bringing her daughter on college tours. So hoping she ends up in San Diego, which
and like what a weather weekend, right? What a weather weekend to show her around campuses here.
Yeah. So she's on a tour this morning at USD. So, fingers crossed.
Perfect. So we're going to just get into all things marriage, relationships, dating advice, all the things above. But first, we're going to get into Sally's thoughts on my episode last week, giving my icks and my dating stories and what her takeaways as a professional listening to me being a psycho.
Okay, let's just correct your self-awareness. You are not a psycho. You are picky and particular. And my best advice is you need to pick your battles. And I don't think thongs should be one of the battles that you die on.
That is probably top of my list. So that's going to be hard.
That's hard.
My friend that got engaged this weekend, I sent her a text and I said, what do you think the thing that I'm most upset about that happened in your engagement? And she was like, the people in the background. Like she started listing all of these things and I was like, no. And I like zoomed in and screenshot her wearing a thong sandal. And I was like, this.
The thong sandal is the problem.
It's got to go. So, especially on a guy. A girl, it's more acceptable, but a guy,
I understand. I mean, we'll have to dive deeper to really understand. But again,
it's
don't
ugly.
think it should be a deal breaker in a relationship. That's just my 2 cents. I could dive deeper, but is that not to make you cry?
And I'm like, and so then I invested in a thong sandal company after this episode. I realized it's not their fault.
Not their fault. It's marketing. It's just marketing. I will say I personally don't like a thong sandal because I always get blisters and I always hurt myself when I wear them too long. So
see, now they're dangerous.
I agree. I just wouldn't end a relationship.
They're like, so why'd you guys break up? And he's like, I bought a thong sandal. We were great otherwise.
The kids are really sad about it.
See, you get it.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So, I mean, what are your other icks? Remind me.
Um, Parallel parking, sitting far at a sporting event, not being funny, wearing
The
a size
funny one
me.
I understand because the funny one is about intelligence, and wit and humor is about like intelligence, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is a key. Like when you're dating, and I don't just mean like IQ, I mean emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I think that's a deal breaker, not the thongs, but the, funny.
Some could
Funny could
argue
be a
they go
deal
hand in
breaker.
hand.
I mean, we'll have to keep discussing that. But if you convince me, I'll
Okay,
go with it. But I have
perfect.
not yet been convinced.
Get ready for your next appointment because there's a 10-point PowerPoint slide coming your way.
I'm ready. I'm ready. So yeah,
um,
I think funny is important. I understand that sitting close at a sporting event is important to you, right? So I would communicate that to whoever I'm dating with, and if they care about what's important to you, they would get better seats, and then you don't have to break up with them.
there we go. I'm just gonna put that clip on repeat.
I mean, I have lots of clips like that, so keep hitting.
um, Having a cat or a small dog. Mm-mm.
Well, because you find it unattractive.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, cats, I don't really like cats. I don't trust them. They make me like very uncomfortable. And like, I'm not
I mean,
someone
I
who,
agree. So me personally, a cat would be a deal breaker.
yeah,
Personally.
yeah,
But, and I think that's okay. Like if you have allergies or if you're just anti-cat and that is
anti cat.
constantly like thongs you can take off, right? Like
Right,
cats, that's like part of your family. So
right.
I think that makes sense. I'm not sure about the small dog thing. I love dogs, so I
I
don't
love
know.
dogs. It's just
John
like,
said we couldn't have a small dog once because this, I'm sure he thinks it's the ick thing. But we were married and had children, and so we bought this small little Maltese dog for the girls for Christmas.
and of
And
course, him and John were best friends.
well, he went to pick him. He's like, oh, "This is so dumb. Why are we getting this little rat dog? It's a purse dog." And then he picked him up, and he's driving home. He's like, "I love him." I was like, "I know. He's pretty."
Well, that's the thing. It's like, of course, like you're gonna love the animal, you know what I mean? And like that's a different situation because like you're already in a family, you don't really have a choice. But like if you're a single man who on their own thought,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
go
I
get a
I wouldn't
small
look
dog.
twice. I wouldn't look twice,
Yeah.
right? Like if it's just not your thing and you have options when you're dating, like I get not choosing someone wearing thong sandals with a small dog, right? Like
Ugh.
you can be picky.
Okay, good.
But my issue is if you're happy in a relationship or there is potential, like you're going to have to look past some of the
Oh
things.
yeah, like 100%. Like I would never, of course, like you said, to your point, like I could just throw all of their thong sandals away and like
Yeah. And you
in
can just
front.
slowly replace
Oh
them with
yeah.
appropriate sandals. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I took years to revamp my husband's wardrobe. It took a
Hmm.
long time, but I did, and now he dresses better than I would dress him.
It is interesting because I will say that like the older I've got and the more I've dated, I have let go of like a lot of those types of things because at the end of the day, like surface level things you can change,
Yeah.
like I'm a woman, like women, like men need us for that reason, amongst pretty much everything else in life as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like like these are just like my funny, quirky icks, but I mean, the cat is a hard no for me. Like that's not
Yeah. I
something,
mean,
but like
you're aware of your boundaries. So you call
totally.
them icks, right? Which I think ick is I think it's a hard one because it's hard to come back from an ick the way you guys use the word and the terminology. So, I mean, I like to call it like a boundary for you that could be flexible
Okay.
instead of an ick. An ick is
Hmm.
like done over, won't even address it.
Yeah.
Can we call it a flexible boundary?
Flexible boundary, but like also if they like smoke cigarettes, no.
Okay, that's a strong boundary.
Yeah.
That's like a hard no.
Yeah. So okay,
Or
so I
that
have
could be an ick. That
so I
could be an
have
ick.
my soft boundaries and my hard boundaries. Great.
Yeah. Or
Great.
flexible, like boundaries. I mean, I think humans need to be flexible, right?
Uh-huh.
Unless a boundary is hard or firm if it's like, usually if it will cause you harm, right?
Okay. Well,
Otherwise,
I could
maybe
I
you
could
can get a
argue
medium boundary
I could
for the
argue
thong.
I'd feel harmed.
Like you feel what you feel, girl, and like I'm not going to change that or try to. So if you feel harmed, then that's a strong
I
boundary
do.
for you.
I do. I feel at risk. At
We can
risk.
work on it in other sessions if you like.
um and then when I was just like kind of discussing the way that men speak to you in online dating, and in the dating world, when you just can't, like, it's almost a bad thing if you're sure of yourself, like, and like I said on my episode last week, like, I truly have changed the type of person that I date, like, 100%. I no longer fall in love with the idea of someone. It's either they are or they aren't. Of
Right.
course, you can grow and,
But you can't
change.
fundamentally change who you are. Like people always
Right.
ask that, can people change? Yes, people can change 1,000%. You can change your behaviors. You can change how you respond. You can change how you communicate. People can change, but at their core, are they going to fundamentally change who they are?
Right.
No, probably
Right.
not, unless they want to, right? Unless there's some life-changing event or some self-awareness and they want to change. Otherwise, like, no, don't even try.
That's how yeah, and I think that I think also something that I learned that I didn't touch upon was, I've learned how important it is for someone to, like, kind of grow up similar to the way you grew up, and not in all ways. But for example, like, I had dated someone who, like, they hated Christmas, and I love Christmas, and we would, like, really get into arguments all the time because I'm like, you're taking this joy away from me, like this, like, and they explained it as, like, they didn't grow up having good Christmases, they didn't,
Yeah,
the gifts were donated to them,
that
and
was
it's
their lived experience. It was different than
mhm.
yours.
And, that's just one example, but I have, encountered many more. And it really, like, I do like to reflect, and I do like to think about, how I can change things, or why it went wrong. And I have realized through a series of the same events happening, like, it really
A
is
theme, you
important.
call that?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's a theme. All right.
What'd you learn in the theme?
That it really is important for someone to have not necessarily just the same value system as you, but to just be open and kind of have had that same type of love, or whatever it may be.
Well, yes. I mean, yes. Like, even if someone you're dating had a different experience, like, for example, you grew up loving Christmas and
Mhm.
your partner grew up like with terrible experiences,
Mhm.
that's not the problem. The problem is if you're both inflexible about what you expect and want to do together,
Mhm.
right? Like if he's willing to like be excited about having Christmas with you, even though his other Christmases weren't awesome, great. There's room for you to like teach him and
Mhm.
like make it fun for him, like today or in the future. Then that wouldn't be a deal breaker.
Mhm.
But if he's like, no, Christmas sucks, period, and I'm never going to like it, and you're like, well, I
Okay.
love it, then you might not want to work on that relationship.
Totally. And it actually is interesting because this year at Christmas, he had texted me, and, like, we don't communicate. And he had texted me, and he had said, I'm so sorry because I realized I should have, I was letting my past affect us.
Right.
And I didn't, you were trying to make everything special, and because I would say to him, like, I'm very aware, that we had different experiences, but now you're at a point in life where you can change those experiences, and you can change those memories, and you don't
And
have to
he
have the
heard that.
association. Yeah, it just took him 6 more years after to hear it.
Well,
Really
6
slow learning curve.
years, 6 years, you'd be surprised, is a lot longer than most, right? So, like I
Hmm.
said, everybody like gets the memo on their own timeline. And the most important thing when you're dating, I think, is to be dating someone who's like sort of on your same timeline
Hmm.
of like growth and self-awareness and
Hmm.
emotional maturity, right? Like,
Totally.
I think that's the key to being connected to someone. And the other key is if they make your nervous system feel calm.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Thank you. Because I have been in two situations and I would just like try and try and try. And I'm not an anxious person. And I just would always feel like so anxious. Like I couldn't say anything. Like I couldn't be who I wanted to be. And I would like come home and I would reflect and I'm like, this is not healthy. Like I should not feel this way. And when I'm with other people, like whether it be boys or friends or whatever, it's like I never feel this way. So like I always know like if I cannot be relaxed around you, because I am a very relaxed person, like
Hmm.
no. And like that's a huge sign is like, yes, I have experienced it and I fully, fully, fully agree.
So it usually means like if you're not anxious, it usually means the other person is, or is just uncomfortable in their own skin, or is, not super emotionally mature, or is antagonistic, or just makes you
All of the
feel
above.
what they feel,
Uh-huh.
right? And so that's why it's not a good match. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if they're not wearing thongs, right? Like if they
They
make
could
you
be
feel
wearing
like,
the best outfit ever, and if they're still making me feel like that, I would go buy a thong for them. So I could
right.
then I
But
could
if
be like,
somebody
I could walk
wearing
away.
thongs, if you walked to someone wearing thongs and you suddenly felt like super calm
Peace.
and you suddenly felt like a little excited, wouldn't you like be over the thongs? Could you
Yeah.
get over them?
Yeah, I would just like bring them to the beach so they could take their shoes off and be barefoot and or cut their ankles off. So cut them off at
Or
the
just
ankles.
throw the slides in the trash when they're not looking. I mean,
Like,
they're just
I'm
slides,
like,
they're not
oh my God,
expensive.
it's so nice to meet you. Did you want to head to Nike really quickly? I would love to go there.
Right. Like, see, it's so much easier to get a guy new shoes than to help him work on his, like,
Emotional intelligence.
yeah, or energy or how he
Mm-hmm.
expresses himself or
Mm-hmm.
connects with people.
Amen. Amen. Um, what do you think like is what are the most common mistakes that you see like single people making when they're choosing a partner?
Being too picky, like, I mean, this is so
Okay.
deep. Okay. Like, I think it is coming with a list of, deal breakers in your head and being closed minded, I think is the problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, and it's not your fault. I think it's just because of how dating is set up today. Dating is set up today on dating apps, right? Like very few people just meet authentically, naturally in their environments and
Mm-hmm.
feel that connection. You know how I said we were just talking, when you walk up to someone and you feel calm, like you don't get to experience that when you're looking on a dating app and going like this or listing all the things you care about, like height and what kind of shoes they wear and what kind of animal they have. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of those things about anybody I dated until like further along
You know that
because
that is true.
it's weird the way you guys date.
Listen, Sally, we didn't want it to be this way,
It's
okay?
not your fault. It's
We
not your
didn't
fault.
we didn't ask for this. It's just what we
It's
have.
it's just the tech. I blame my
Yeah,
husband. It's my
exactly. I was going to
husband.
say, tell John, what if he just eliminated the internet, you know?
And it was supposed to be a fad. My dad said that. He's like, "What? He's leaving the law to go into internet. This internet thing, that's a fad, Sal."
And here we are.
But it
And here
clearly
we
is
are.
not because it's changed dating.
Uh-huh.
It's
It
hard,
really,
right?
really has.
So imagine what I'm saying though, right?
No, totally.
What if you let go of like all your what you're looking for? And what if you went on that dating app and paid attention to like what kind of feelings the pictures they put out there like elicit
Oh,
in
yeah.
you? Not like the small details that you think matter. Like you need to get to know the person. I don't know how to get to know the person on a dating app.
Yeah. I will say like first thing I do is obviously you want to be like attracted to someone. What like it doesn't matter to me, like I said, it's not what they're wearing, like that all can be changed. But like am I like initially attracted to you? This is like how I do my breakdown. Am I attracted to you? Then I'll scroll through your pictures. Then I go back up to the top and I read, your bio. If you don't have a bio, you're out because we're too old at this point. Like you should be able to say something,
About yourself.
Yeah. I also don't like it if they have like lots of like shirtless pictures because then that like it like gives off like you're way too into yourself. And also I will say, I kind of touched upon it last week. Like there are just so many patterns in online dating. And I feel like I've just done it for so long that like I am at a place where I can just look at someone's picture and I'm like, I know exactly what you're going to be like because you fit the mold of every other person.
Yeah. I mean, I could walk into a bar and look at, you know,
Yeah.
a group of guys and be like, yeah, I know who you guys are and I
Yeah.
know who you
Yeah.
guys are. Like, I think it's the same thing when you go on the web, on the
Mm,
internet.
not the web.
Sorry, on the internet, the dating apps, not the dark web.
um, how can we see the difference between compatibility and chemistry?
Oh, I think that's interesting. Like, okay, so chemistry is what, people call like, oh, I felt butterflies. Oh, I'm so attracted to him. I'm so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what we know scientifically is that is a chemical in your brain, right? That you feel when you're attracted to someone and it's like those butterflies, that exciting feeling, but it only lasts so long and then it goes away to never return with the same person, which is why people cheat all the time because they want that feeling back, right? You
Hmm.
can't get that feeling with the same person. So when people say, I fell out of love, we're so compatible, we're best friends, but I don't have that feeling, right?
Yeah.
I say, no kidding. It's a temporary chemical in your brain and it's gone. And you can't get that feeling back, but can you get your chemistry back? Can you get your connection and your passion back? 1000%. But you have to work at it. So you have to be compatible to be lifelong partners or dating well, living well together. You have to be compatible. But the chemistry part is what people think is the key to a long lasting marriage. It's not the key, it's only one part. And it's easy in the very beginning because it's natural in your brain. It's harder later in life because you have to work at it
Mm-hmm.
and put effort and energy into the relationship to recreate it. Like you have to flirt with each other, you have to go on dates, you have to like spend time talking about the stuff you talked about when you really felt those chemicals and got to know each other instead of just go through the motions.
I will say that somewhat recent-ish, someone has come into my life, and I like, of course, like I feel like I don't have like the butterflies. I feel just like very calm around them.
But that's great. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have the butterflies either around my husband. Like we were friends for like 2 or 3 years. And I didn't have the butterflies until one time when we spent the summer apart and he dated someone else. And I was like, ooh, I don't like that. And it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like the butterflies really till even later, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I think that can it comes and goes. It will leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it has to be their like love at first sight kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, how I think this is I'm like really interested in this. How do you think that couples should like fight in a healthy way?
So it's really important to, and I try not to say fight. I try
Right. I know.
because
I
I
like
think,
that's why I like
but you're
air
right.
quoted
They
it.
should. Okay, so couples have to disagree. They have to not see eye to eye on every issue because they're two different people with two different upbringings and two different plans for everything. So you have to learn how to disagree or fight, right? and you have to learn to do it in a healthy way. And so it's always based on like how you grew up learning to do it, whether it was healthy or not, and how your partner grew up learning to do it, whether it was healthy or not, and then finding a way to do it together. And that's healthy, obviously. And it's very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
it's dependent on the actual couple and their style of communicating and fighting or disagreeing. Because some couples avoid, some couples love conflict. Sometimes one person loves conflict and one person avoids. So it just sort of depends on the dynamic.
it's like you have to do this dance.
It is a dance,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
What are the most common things that cause turmoil in the marriage, and how can people manage them?
I mean, it's really easy. There's three major things that people fight about: sex, money, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how do you deal with that? I guess as it comes up, right? Like some people have intimacy problems way later in life, right? Some people have money problems way earlier in life, right? Everyone has kid challenges when they have them, when they're toddlers, when they are teenagers, and when they leave for college, you
Do
know?
you do you have like a suggestion, or do you have like things that you encourage people who aren't married yet, who are, in a serious relationship, they're going to get married, but like maybe like conversations that they should have with their partner prior to?
Yeah, you should talk about those three things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, my parents told me to do this when we got engaged and we sort of laughed at them like, okay, we'll figure it out
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
go. Like, what are you talking about? We're 20 something. We don't know.
We don't know.
But
Yeah.
but they were right. I mean, I think it is important to talk about like, do you want kids? How many kids? Who's gonna stay home and raise them? Are you gonna send them to daycare and both work?
And now
How are
what
you?
if you don't agree?
Well, that's a really important thing to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to see if it's a hard boundary or not for each of you, right? I mean, you need to know how the other person spends or saves money, whether they're in debt or they have a good relationship with money and know how to, you know, live within their means and save responsibly for the future or not, right? Whether or not they have enough money or similar amount of money that you had growing up, that's a
So
big
like
difference.
for me, my ideal goal is that they're really good at saving for our future, and then I can continue being really good at spending.
Yeah, I mean, and if you can find someone who's like, yes, I want that girl who's going to spend my money for the rest of my life, then I think you found your dream person.
Perfect. So that's like what I'm searching for.
And so obviously sex is a hard one because in the beginning of a relationship, it's really fun and exciting and people are usually on the same page with how much intimacy they want. But intimacy or sex is not just about sex, your whole marriage. And it's like it ebbs and flows when you're busy with work or busy with kids or busy with, I don't know, having babies or
Hmm.
menopause or erectile dysfunction. I mean, there's like a million things that
Yeah.
get in the way of your sex life throughout your marriage. So,
I have a question. I feel like a lot of the times I think like just like in society in general, it's more common for the woman to be able to voice her opinion about intimacy. I feel like sometimes there's like this guilt built around if a guy is bringing up intimacy. So like what do you say in that case? Because I do know, I mean just like with talking with people all the time, like where I have talked with someone where they're like I feel like an asshole bringing up the fact that like there's not a lot of intimacy because like this person is so great, they do everything for our household, but as a guy I feel like I can't say that because it it makes me feel like a creep, you know what I mean, like
I
oh
would
like
say no, I wholeheartedly disagree. There's no creep in I want to be more intimate. If a guy tells a woman I want more intimacy and she's creeped out by that, she is the wrong person for him. She's not emotionally mature enough to say, that's amazing. This guy wants to be closer to me or get to know me better or feel more connected to me. Like that, I think that's the sign of a mature person. And I think the
What if
person
they're
who,
just not a sexual person?
you don't have to be sexual to be intimate, right?
Okay.
Like to me, I say intimacy, like I work with couples all the time. That's what I mean when it's not about physical sex.
Mm-hmm.
Being intimate is about closeness, like affection, cuddling on the couch, knowing somebody's deepest, darkest secrets, accepting them without judgment. Like that's intimacy. It's not like I want to have sex with you all day. It has nothing to do with sex. It's part of it. Physical sex is a big part of intimacy, and
Mm-hmm.
people confuse that for intimacy alone.
Yeah.
But it's so much bigger than that. It's like when you're being intimate with someone means you lay on the couch next to them and your heart rate slows and your breath slows. Like that's right. And you don't
Mm-hmm.
even have to talk. Like that's intimate.
Yeah. I love
You're
that.
like, oh, that sounds so nice.
It
Look at your face.
does. I love that. I'm like a lover. Like I'm such a lover. So that sounds wonderful for me.
There's dogs that, will do
I
that with you too.
know. I
I mean,
say like in my next serious relationship I will get a dog. But like right now it's like I'm single, I'm up and out of the house whenever I want.
yeah.
But I would love a dog.
Yeah.
So if Oscar's available.
I can rent him out.
Perfect.
Fine.
Okay, so I like shared a lot of the submitted questions that I got. I actually got really good questions from people. So I want to get into that.
Yeah.
So the first one is tips other than date night to stay connected to your partner when you guys have kids and time is
Right.
limited.
Yeah, I mean, people say this to me all the time. We can't go on a date. We have little kids and we have no money, and so it doesn't have to be a date, right? Like if your kids are old enough to leave home, like go for a walk around the block, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say, do not discuss those three things: sex, kids, or money. You cannot talk about those three things. You may not talk about chores, kids, any stressors. You can only walk around the block for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But during that time, you can only discuss like dreams, vacations you want to go on, plans for retirement, interesting things like you haven't talked about in years. Like you can only talk about those topics.
I
And
love
couples
that.
love that. Yeah. And it's so easy. You don't even have to walk around the block, but in California you can.
Right.
In St. Louis, I tell people like if it's freezing, just, sit in the kitchen and do it,
Yeah. Yeah. So basically it's more so just like
Connecting.
connecting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't have to be a date. It can be like, and I also tell couples like if you used to like go to the grocery store together and cook dinner together or have, stuff like that, do that. If you used to do like, watch a funny show, watch reruns of that show to reconnect. It's
Oh.
like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like, let's go on a date and get dressed up and I'll
Mm-hmm.
buy you a fancy dinner. Like, that's kind of dumb, It's like,
Excuse me. I
I
love
mean,
those
that's
things.
nice for someone who wants to spend someone else's all his money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not dumb. It's just not necessary.
Right. It's just not like you're not, yeah.
You can do that too, but your question was if you can't go on a date.
Right. No,
So
yeah.
that's a good, yeah.
Um, what's a piece of advice that you wish all couples would follow?
When you are dysregulated, which means you're not in the window of tolerance. The window of tolerance is meaning you're calm, your nervous system is calm, you can think logically. So when you're dysregulated, you're super angry and anxious, or you're super depressed and avoidant and pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're upset, do not talk. Take space, calm your nervous system separately. You calm yours, the other person calms theirs. And whenever you're both calm, then say, are you ready to finish that discussion? Like, it really upsets me when people continue to try to figure stuff out when they're both upset because no one
Mm-hmm.
listens. They just talk
Mm-hmm.
at each other.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. This was not a relationship, but it was a friendship. And that recently happened to me. And, something had happened. And then the next day, I went home and I reflected and I thought about it. And then the next day we had a conversation, which it is interesting because it's like we're very, very, very close, but it's still like gives you like, oh God, like I have to face this right now, but it was like a way more productive conversation and there was resolution in the end, and then
Yeah.
Because
Because when you're calm, you can think logically and you can talk logically and you can also create a little space to hear the other person. When you're upset, you're only worried about being heard. So you do not listen. And then nothing gets accomplished because both people are just trying to be heard. It makes me insane, but it's really simple. It's hard, but simple, right?
Okay, so this one was interesting and we cannot wait to hear your perspective. I've watched my friend constantly put down their partner in front of others, but it's not my marriage to speak on, but it does make things uncomfortable.
Well, I think it's unfortunate because when couples do that in public, they do lose friends. Like, it kind of blows my mind that couples still do that in public. And, I think it's like a passive aggressive way of that couple communicating to their partner, I'm upset with you. And I'm going to do it publicly and embarrass you. And maybe that'll help you see how hurt I am. So to me, it just indicates they have horrific communication. And so, yeah, I'm sure you could be friends with them, but like they're not emotionally mature. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to resolve conflict. So, you know, again, like the older I get, the more I choose to just surround myself with friends and people who are emotionally mature. Like I have a lot of friends and acquaintances who are not, who I love, right? But my closest deepest friendships are people who are emotionally mature and would not talk to their spouse in public like that. Like they might say to me like, "Oh my God, my husband's
Now,
so..."
what if it is one of your close friends?
I would say to her, "I love you, and it's really hard to be out with you and your husband because it's uncomfortable how much conflict, unresolved conflict you guys have. So either leave it at home and when you're out with us, or try to figure out how to resolve it. And here's some names of some good couples therapists." Like,
So not to get involved in your marriage, but I've gone ahead and scheduled a couple appointments for you.
I don't know, like I'm old, so I have less patience for people like that. Like they're not my best friends. You know what I mean? Like if they're fighting at dinner, I'm like, yeah, no more dinners, But
You're like,
well, one time we had really good friends and we were out with them at New Year's Eve and like they got in a screaming fight in the car with us on the way home. And when we got home, my husband goes, "Sal, I used to think," he goes, "I used to think we fought, but we don't fight." They fight. I was like,
that's like
"I
so. I honestly don't think I've ever been in a situation like where that's the case, but like I can't imagine like yeah, you're just like and after some reflection, like it's not so bad over here.
He's like, "Wow, I thought you were really like," because I grew up with, I'm not afraid of conflict, right? And he was more like conflict avoidant. Like he literally would run away at fights. We'd get in a fight and he'd like, one time he literally ran out the door and down the street. He would run away. One time we were on a run together and he just sped up and was gone. So I've had to teach him to disagree.
He's like, "See ya, my legs are longer."
He's like, "Bye." So he like literally runs away from conflict. So he thought I was a big fighter until he saw them fight because neither of them were afraid of conflict.
You're like,
so
"See,
they were
look
like,
how perfect I am."
bam. I was like, "Yeah, see, this is nothing."
Yeah, and like I tell people that about myself all the time. Like they're just like, "Oh, Kyra, like how are you able to give such good advice all the time?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I'm at peace." I'm like, I am such like my when I am home, like that is my place and I love to be home and there is no chaos in my life, and
Yeah.
I really do surround myself with good people. So that actually is another thing too. Like when I'm with someone, if I can't feel that, then I'm like,
Comfortable.
no.
If
Yeah.
you don't feel comfortable, it's not the right person.
Totally.
right? And same with friends. Like, and I used to work a lot with teenage girls who are probably your age now. And I would say to them all the time, like, pay attention to, like, when you're in a friendship with a girl or a guy, like, pay attention to how you feel about yourself in that friendship. Like, do you
Mm.
show up as your best self? Are you just like comfortable in your skin with those people? Then those are your people. Those are the people who make you feel good about who you are, who lift you up, who like, so whether it's a date or a friend, like, it's my advice for all, not just the teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I
I think
love
it's
that.
important. Yeah.
Why do I only want him if he pulls away?
I mean, I think, a lot of people like a challenge, and a lot of people, I believe, have expectations, right? Like, I want him, I expect, like, if I get him, it'll feel like really better, right? If I have to fight for it or try harder or work harder and then I get it, it's like, working towards any goal, I think. But it's not necessarily a healthy thing. Like if you just want someone because they're a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to always be a challenge.
Right.
So it's sort of like you're setting yourself up to be disappointed.
And I too, like, I feel like, of course, like, we always want what we can't have. We always want to, like, prove, like, oh,
And
we're
get it,
worthy.
or we're
Yeah. Like,
worthy, or
yeah. And then, but yeah, it's like, if I have to do all that, like, the man I'm going to be with for the rest of my life is not going to make me do this.
work that hard,
Yeah.
feel
Not
worthy.
on this specific thing. Like I might have to work hard in other areas that like actually hold
Well,
importance.
that's what I mean. Like you can work hard in a lot of
Right.
ways in a relationship, or you can also work towards a goal. You can like set a goal. I want to run a marathon and like
Mhm.
put all your energy into working hard at that challenge. Like I don't think your relationship should be like I got to get this guy's attention or
Mhm.
this person's attention. And sometimes it's childhood trauma, right? Like I didn't get what I needed or attention from the other opposite gendered parent, so I'm going to get it from this guy or this girl.
Mhm.
And that childhood trauma stuff.
Mhm.
So just know
Um
that about yourself, right? Like if you constantly are chasing somebody like who's a challenge, then say like, what's going on with me?
I will say too, like, off topic of the questions, but I feel like it'd be so hard. I'm so grateful that I've just been single through this whole wave, of like learning everything as it's like coming out and stuff. Like, I can't imagine like having been in a long term relationship, never done the online dating thing or been in a marriage, and then getting out and starting now. Cause it's like, oh, good luck.
You know what? The women, because I do only pretty much couples therapy
Hmm.
exclusively. So I mean, a lot of times I help people stay together, and a lot of times I help them get divorced, right?
Hmm.
And so the divorced women who are older and have never been on dating apps, yeah, or the men, they're both. They're like they don't understand how to do it. They're like me, they don't like it. They're not.
Uh-huh.
It's hard for them because they don't. Yeah, they don't have the
Do
feel for it.
you like, because you've been doing this so long, like when couples come and sit with you, do you kind of know after a couple times like, oh, I can see that they can work through something, or I could see we're going to have to go down this road? Like, is
Usually
it
after one time.
ooh,
Usually after
mhm,
one or two times, I know for sure. Like these two can work it out if they want to, like they can make it work, or these two are like definitely getting divorced. And when I say someone's definitely going to get divorced, it's almost always because either
the
they're
man sucks.
both, what the man. No, you would think that, but no.
No, I
It's
know.
almost always because they're both rigid and unwilling to change, or one of them's rigid and unwilling to change,
Mhm.
right? And whether that's because they're emotionally immature, or whether it means because they've just been so hurt and don't want to, or there's a million reasons, right? But
Mhm.
like, I can almost tell right away if they both want to work and they both want it to get better, then there's almost always a possibility, right? So I can tell pretty fast.
How many times should you forgive someone for making the same mistake?
What's the saying? Like, fool me once, shame on me, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
Uh-huh.
So I say
And I
don't
would
accept this.
imagine, like, of course, there's like degrees of mistakes. Like,
For
oh,
sure. I mean, if the mistake is putting on thongs a couple times, like
I'm
you
like,
can let it go. But if the mistake is like, very serious, I would say if it ever happened more than once, that's over. Like, and by serious, I mean, I don't know.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, okay, so I've never been married, so I know that I can't speak on what I would really, really do. I just know myself. I, I don't want this to happen or anything, but like, I feel like I could get past cheating.
Yeah, people get
Depending.
past cheating all the time,
Like,
right?
I feel like if it's physical, I could get past it. If it's emotional, that would be more difficult for me because if you feel, connected to someone else and you feel like you would go to them to tell them things like that, I couldn't do. Like, that would hurt me at my core because I always want to be your safe place. But I also do understand, like, as humans, like, we do have needs. And again, I'm not out here being like, oh yeah, go sleep with whoever you want, whenever you want. You're a human, you have needs. Like, no, but I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, the human brain is the human brain. You can, like, we are who we are. And sometimes you just find yourself in a situation. So I think I
Yeah,
could get over that.
yeah.
But of
I
course,
think
if it becomes a pattern, then I'm like, well, no, you're just a cheater.
we are not polyamorous.
Yeah,
Is that what you
no.
kids call it? Polyamorous? Yeah. Um, yeah, no, I think that a lot of people are able to forgive and move past a cheating situation. And it always depends on the circumstances, right? No matter what. It just depends
Mhm,
on the circumstances. And it also depends on how willing each person is to do the work to repair it, right?
mhm.
And so, yeah, people definitely move on after cheating. Is it harder to move on if someone cheats two times? I would guess, yeah.
um, what if there's like a mistake? What if the mistake, because we talked about sex, kids, money. What if you're in a situation where, this person has had like their things, their issues in the past, and they're, all of those are great and everything is great, but now they might be doing something where they're not being maybe honest about money. Um, is that like something that you can work through, if they're
Yeah,
maybe spending more money than
yeah,
we can?
yeah, for
How do
sure.
you
I mean,
approach that to someone?
I think you can work through any of the issues with sex, money, or kids, for sure. I mean, even so, for example, if someone has had a problem in the past with gambling or spending or whatever, it's not going to just disappear because you wanted it to, right? So when that person is stressed or overwhelmed or freaking out, they're going to go back to their unhealthy coping skill of gambling or spending or whatever. And so if as a couple you can know that and say, I love you, I support you, I know you're struggling and that's why you're doing this. And this is not working for me in our marriage because like we need this money to pay like the electricity.
Hmm.
So can we do something about this, right? And if that person is willing to say, yeah, I totally am falling back into my old patterns and I'm so sorry and I want to do better and yeah, I mean, that can happen more than twice, right? In a
Hmm.
long
Hmm.
marriage. That can happen over like once a decade in a long marriage. And it's not a deal breaker. It's just like, we got to do better. We got to remember, oh, you're sliding. Like you said, you want to be someone's safe place. Like you want that person to go like, yeah, I'm struggling and I've been spending and you got to stop me, right?
Hmm.
I'm out of control. Like whenever I would struggle, I would run way, way, way too much because, just like get away from my problems, run away from my
Hmm.
troubles. John taught me that, right?
There you
So
go.
every
You're
time
like,
I'd
I'm
run,
sorry, you were leading. I was just taking
like
your lead.
I learned this from you,
Yeah.
but I took it to the whole nother level. Like, and so when I would go running too much, sometimes he'd be like, "Are you okay?" Or like if I stopped eating because I was so stressed, he'd be like, I think you're doing it again. You need to like, are you
That's
okay?
really
Like, what's going
nice.
on? Should we, And it was always like a teenage drama, something, right? So,
Hmm.
but like, yeah, like you can be not perfect humans and be forgiven and be supported in a marriage or a relationship.
And I also would say too, and again, I am 38 and not married, so I feel like I have less versions of myself coming up versus like you're so transitional, in your 20s and 30s, like you become all of these new versions. So I can't imagine, yeah, then being in a marriage and having, I feel like you would revisit the same kind of things, but in different ways because you both are evolving and changing. And not to
Yeah,
say that like you're not evolving after
somebody
this,
will
but
go, yeah, someone will go through struggles. Like one of you could go through struggles like in your career at different stages.
hmm
Like John had career stuff through the decades, right? Good and bad. And I always had like parenting, mothering,
hmm
teenage drama stuff through the years, right? That made me crazy or not, right? Like, but it was always at different times, or sometimes it was at the same time. We're both like freaking lunatics, and then
and then
like
it's just chaos.
it's just life. What do they now? All my clients say, life keeps life, and I'm like,
hmm
yeah, that's
This was an interesting question that I was like, I'm so glad that someone said this because I do feel like that I hear this, from my clients too, where men hold like such high powered positions, but when it comes to just like regular household duties, it's like they're blind and like don't understand, but it's like you can show up at work and like never miss a thing.
well, it's usually about the way they grew up, right? Or the way they set up their household today, right? So, for example, if they grew up in a house where dad only went to work and mom only did household stuff, he thinks that's his only role. He thinks that her job is to do the stuff at home and he doesn't have a role, right? So they haven't communicated like, hey, we both work here in this home. You work outside the home. I work wherever I work. And also, this is our home together. And our plan is we will both be responsible for the stuff in the house, right?
hmm
Whatever that looks like, right? And everyone's different. Some husbands will do laundry, some will do dishes, some will do the lawn, some will pay for people to come do it all, but that's their
hmm
contribution, right? Like, and I don't care what it looks like, but if she thinks he should be contributing, then he should. Even if it's just like, okay, well, I'll pay for the cleaning lady and the pool guy and the whatever. Okay,
hmm
fine. Pay for that. That's your
hmm
contribution. And then her contribution is whatever they decide. But
I think it's too like I was like talking with some of my friends about it, and it's also too. It's almost it's like men just like switch off when they come home, and
because
it's
it's
like
like their chill time.
yeah,
Home is
yeah,
their reprieve. It's where they go to relax. Because if they go out of the home to work, then they think they come back into the home to chill.
mm-hmm,
And they forget because now they're the adults. When they were living in a home before, their mom did it, right? And
mm-hmm,
now they're in that role, but they're in the other role of the go to work role. So they think the wife does it.
mm-hmm.
So you have to say, that's not the way I
And like,
want
what
it
if
to be.
both people work? Like, what if
Then
both
you
people work
have to
outside?
say, we both work. How do we, as the adults who own this property and home together, want to divvy up the responsibilities here? Because we both go out of the house. So when we come back to the house, we both want to chill.
Mm-hmm,
So how do we then also say, what's your job and what's my job? Like my husband knows what his jobs are. I know what my jobs are. We don't even talk about them. But it's been
mm-hmm.
like 30 years, so that's easier.
Another one that I got is great sex, terrible communication.
Not long lasting.
Mm-hmm.
Like good for now, fun for right now.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
Like
Um, what if I outgrow my spouse?
then you need to tell your spouse to get working on growing up.
Do you think it's like possible? Like, I
Yes.
don't, yeah.
Two people grow up at different stages, right? Like so for example, like John and I both got married, we were like 24. He grew up about 32. I grew up about like a year ago. For real. Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's way more emotionally mature and has been since he had a big struggle in his early 30s. And I'm way more emotionally mature and grown up since I had a big struggle like in the past 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, and he was super patient with me while I was not getting the memo, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And luckily, because he could have been like, peace out, you're a train wreck, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But because raising teenagers is really hard. But he wasn't, but he was, you know what I mean? He
Totally.
was,
Totally. Yeah, and I do feel like it really is important to constantly remind yourself like this, like my struggles are my struggles, this person's struggles are their struggles. Like I want to be with them through the good, the bad, the ugly, the sad, the hard, And I feel like sometimes because online dating exists, so like even if you're just in a long-term relationship, not necessarily a marriage, but let alone a marriage, when you hear all these people being like, oh, but online dating this and online dating that, it's
yeah.
like, I feel like it's so easy to like get that in your mind, but it's like, okay, then you're going to trade this set of struggles for that set of struggles. Like either which way, you're going to have to figure out how to
Every
work through it.
relationship is hard and has challenges. Like if you keep just throwing one away and starting fresh, starting fresh, starting fresh, like yeah, you'll have lots of relationships and maybe they'll be good and great at some point, but you'll never like make any progress on yourself. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or on a relationship. Like if you want it to work, you can make it work if it's the person is also willing to make it work, no matter what the challenge is, I think.
And I see this just, again, through work, and like most of my friends have children. And I don't know what it is, but the mom guilt is real and
Yeah,
I
it is.
hear it all the time. I always try to tell, the people in my life, I'm like, as someone who isn't a parent, I feel like it's my duty to like kind of like check you back and like remind you like you are a mom, but you are also a person, and you also have needs yourself. And then I always do try to say to my friends, like, because like some don't like to miss bedtime, some don't like to go on vacation. And I'm like, how many times, like, when they were like, tell me a memory from when your child was that age, when you were that age, tell me the memory that you have of your parents. And 10 out of 10 times it's, I don't have a memory. And I'm like, right.
Right.
So,
Right. That's why I ran a lot because I was like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm going to run. They're not going to
uh-huh.
make it. I'm just going to go on a run. And
Mm-hmm.
then, yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. But
I just like want to like help all of my people in my life and just remind them like you can still be an individual. Like that doesn't make you a bad mom,
so
like
when I was in grad school, the only article I ever remember reading, and mind you, this was like 30 something years ago. And it was an article called, and I don't even know why I remember this because I had no kids. I wasn't married. I was like, 22 years old. And I was like, it was an article called The Good Enough Mother. And it stuck with me to this day. And I tell all my mom clients who have that guilt, like, read this
mhm.
article because it basically says you just have to be good enough. You do not have to be perfect. And this was written in what, like 1994. Good Enough Mother, like in some random grad class in the middle of Illinois, right? And I'm like, I share it with everyone because it's like, it's so true. Like, you just have to do your best. And like, it's going to be wrong a lot of times
Mhm.
in
And
relationship
I
with
feel
your
like
kids or with your husband or with your
totally.
boyfriend or your girlfriend. It's just going to be wrong sometimes.
And like I always try to say too, like I don't know, like I feel like my parents, like they always went on vacation. We had babysitters, they had date nights,
Okay. I
and
had
I
that coming up.
didn't care at all. Like I didn't even think it was like I didn't,
It made me
obviously.
feel like my parents liked each other. Like I
Yeah.
liked that they liked each other and spent time together.
Yeah. And then like who
Like it
doesn't love
was
having
kind
a
of my
babysitter?
friends were jealous. They're like, "Oh my God, your parents are cute." They're like, they hug and kiss. I'm like, "Ew, gross." But my friends were always like, "It's so sweet," that they're like they love each other. They're like connected. And
And
so
like I try to tell my friends that too, and I will say, and my clients as well, and I'll say like, remember when we were growing up, like our parents didn't have cell phones. We weren't FaceTiming them if we needed something. Like, just enjoy your night. Like, it's okay. You don't have to answer the phone if your kid is calling. Like, either they're young enough where they have a
And
babysitter, so the babysitter will call.
newsflash, they have way more fun with the babysitter, and they like independence when they're old enough not to have a babysitter.
But I feel like a lot of
They
the times,
don't want you in their face.
I've been in situations where like their kids will call them and like because like they're sad about something or whatever, and they're like, I gotta go. And I'm like, no, let your kid be sad. Like, now they know they just have to call you and then you'll be there. Like, I think there's degrees
Yeah.
to it, obviously,
I think you have to have flexible boundaries. Like if your kid broke their arm and you're on a date, yeah, you have to go home.
Right.
But if their kid is just feeling a feeling and you're on a date, you don't have to respond right then because like I always teach every client, like nothing is urgent unless you're being chased by a bear or your house is on fire,
Mm-hmm.
like or your kid's arm is broken. There is nothing urgent. You can talk to them when you get home
Mm-hmm.
and help them with their feelings. But it's really their job to learn to manage their feelings, not yours to manage for them. Because
Yeah.
that's codependent. And that's another episode.
Yes. 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 Okay, so that kind of like rolls into, is staying for the kids always the best choice?
No, I don't think it's ever the best choice. I mean, people do it a lot, and I shouldn't say it's never the best choice. I should say if you can do it kindly and lovingly as like friends and co-parents and live together peacefully and raise your kids and then separate when they grow up. Okay, but that sounds like a big sacrifice and not awesome message for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like I prefer like, if you really are unhappily married and not wanting to spend your lives together, I prefer you calmly and kindly divorce and live separately happily and meet or don't meet someone you're happy with and co-parent nicely with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do not recommend staying together for them.
And it's like I talk to people all day long, so I see the patterns,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
to me, I preface everything with, this is just my
Your
perspective,
opinion.
like it's not what is the law. But I do always feel, kind of to your point about like when your friends used to say like, oh, your parents love each other, it's like you're then like, kids are pure, so they pick up on things that they don't even know what they're picking up on, how to like absorb it, but they are still absorbing. They don't know how to like sort it out. And it's like
They
you
feel
can
the
feel,
energy.
yeah,
They
you
feel
can
that.
feel when there's tension. You can feel, and like, don't you want, it's like, I just imagine, like, I just
Yes.
try to think of myself as a parent. Like, if I hope to never be unhappy, to a point where I want to leave. But if I am, I feel like again, like I'm 38 and I've learned myself so much. So I feel like I'm so much stronger as a human, that I would walk away. Because why would I want my kids to like not, if we're going to be a family, then I want to be a family. And if we can't do that, then like, let's find our happiness,
Yeah.
you
That's what
know?
I agree. That's what I tell people. Mhm.
You see that, everyone? The
See,
professional agrees with me.
you could be my sidekick.
Perfect. Let's go
You
on the
could be
road.
my younger, cooler sidekick.
I don't know about the cooler part. I feel like you are way cooler than me. Like, the things that you do are very, very cool.
Well, yeah, that's because I get to go along with John's life. My life's not cool.
Your life is cool. Your life is cool. You and your girlfriends like going on vacations and getting together, like that's cool. You have
Yes,
like you have like your great foundational like
yeah.
friend. I
And
love how
those
you show
are
up as a
my
mom.
friends, like my emotionally mature friends that I go
Hmm.
on trips with, right? Like and
Hmm.
hang out with. Like, like you
Yeah.
got to be picky, but you should still go on cool trips with your girlfriends.
So, to kind of like wrap everything up, what do you hope is the biggest takeaway for someone from this episode?
That relationships are a lot of work, but so worth it.
I love that.
All
I love.
relationships, not just like intimate, loving ones, like
Mm-hmm.
friendships, relationships with your family, your kids, your parents, your dating. I think, I mean, you know, I do therapy for a living, so I think relationships are more important than John and I disagree. I say, I think who you marry is more important than what you do for a living. And he's like, but yeah,
I agree with that because I
you can have a million
100%.
jobs. You can have
Yep.
a million jobs.
And I think if you're with the right person, you're always going to land yourself in where you're supposed to be as a
Yes.
professional.
So I say rule number one in life is like find the right people to surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do anything.
I love that. I could not agree more. That's how I try to live my life. And that's the advice that I try to give people as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on again. This was so informative and lovely. I just loved every
You're
second of
welcome.
it. Thank you everyone for listening and submitting questions. And as a reminder, if you are not subscribed, subscribe, like me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of the things. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm Kyra, and this is your reminder that having it together still counts. See you next week. Bye.